We're going to just take a moment while we replace our microphone up here at the podium, but while we're waiting for that, I would like to ask everyone to rise, please, as we have First Colonial High School present the colors, followed by the singing of the national anthem by the middle school choir here at Cape Henry, Cleveland.
Right.
Color guard. Hope.
Ace. And ready. Colors. Ready. These and colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ready. Order. Colors. Ready. Right. Ace. Aquabears. Sport. Arms. Air. Arch. S. X. I. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this point, I would like to we're gonna move the podium to the other side, where we believe the microphone will work.
For those who are missing and no longer with us. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mr. Tom Atherton, who is the board chairman here at Cape Henry.
I'll just speak without a microphone. Chris asked if I had a problem with that. I do not, as you can tell. And the guys who are getting ready to head to Richmond to play a soccer game tonight know that oh so well. I'm one of those parents. I'm honored, and on behalf of the trustees here at Cape Henry, I have the privilege of being here to welcome you all and to join in this opportunity to celebrate you all and to honor you all. I have my that's terrible. My father-in-law, who's Captain Buzz Needham here with us. Buzz, thank you for your service. I think about service. I think about my what has brought me to serve in different capacities, and I have first and foremost, I have 5 kids, one of which is still here at Cape Henry. He's a senior. My son Carter is our youngest of 5. 4 that have gone on to Virginia Tech, who's those who know Virginia Tech. Yeah, thank you. I am a Hokie. Whose motto is "Ut prosum," which is that I may serve. And that. Prior to that, my father always instilled a lot of thoughts about service in me, and continuing that at Virginia Tech, sort of being there under that motto, and then into other things that I did as a Rotarian, service above self, for all the Rotarians in the room, and then coming here and seeing what we do as a school to serve our community. And what a great community we have. Such a community that has so much of you all, our men and women of service, served in the military, and it so far exceeds what I or my family or this school has been able to do to serve our community. But I think it's great to have that, for our kids here, and for them to recognize the value of service, yours and in our community. So, saying already too much, I'll pass it back to Chris, and I thank you again and for your service, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I would be remiss if I didn't also thank in particular one person, my predecessor, Dr. Jack Lewis, who was the head of school here before I arrived, who also served in the United States Navy, who is here with us today. So thank you for being here, Jack. At this point, I'm honored to be able to introduce Connor Garrison, who joined the Cape Henry Collegiate Community in his 9th grade year as a Serpy Scholar Award winner. He's made a fantastic impact on our community and has been an active member of multiple athletic teams, as well as a class officer and peer leader. Connor is a captain of the state championship boys soccer team and will go to Richmond this evening in order to defend that title. He's also served as a captain of the boys varsity lacrosse team in 2019. He recently was inducted into our prestigious Cum Laude Society. He's a young man that leads with kindness on a daily basis, and he's earned the respect of his peers, his faculty, and this administration. Connor.
Good morning. I would first like to extend a warm welcome to students, parents, faculty, administration, and most importantly, the many servicemen and women here with us today. Veterans Day is a very solemn occasion, and I'm grateful to have the chance to speak here this morning. Whether active duty, reserve, or retired, whether a member of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, or a NATO ally, I and the entire Cape Henry community thank you for your service. We should also remember that there are service members not with us today. Some are deployed to defend our country and our way of life, and God willing, will be coming home soon to loved ones. Others, sadly, have never come home. With that being said, I'd ask you on this important day to never forget these men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our great nation, and to never forget the pain their families experience each day. As Dr. Guerra mentioned earlier, my name is Connor Garrison, and I'm a senior here at Cape Henry. My father, like many who are present today, selflessly served over 20 years in the military. More specifically, He was a naval flight officer who flew the A-6 Intruder and the F-18 Super Hornet. Having grown up as a military child, I am honored to have the opportunity to speak here today, particularly since this year's commemoration marks the 100th anniversary of Veterans Day. In recognition of this centennial anniversary, I'd like to briefly review the history of this important holiday. President Wilson authorized the first Armistice Day, as it was then known, to honor the fallen soldiers of World War I. November 11th was chosen because it represented the one-year anniversary of the armistice which ended the Great War on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. Congress then made Armistice Day a legal holiday in 1926. It wasn't until almost 30 years later, in 1954, that President Eisenhower signed into law the bill that established the Veterans Day we now celebrate. World War I was supposed to be the war that ended all wars. The unfortunate reality, as we all know, is that since the first Armistice Day in 1919, the United States has found itself in conflict around the globe almost continuously, in locations ranging from the beaches of Normandy to the islands of the Japanese Empire, to the bitterly cold mountains of Korea, to the jungles of Vietnam, to the deserts of Iraq, and the mountain ranges of Afghanistan. Each time, a special group of Americans have answered the call to service. Another unfortunate reality is that there is currently less than 500,000 of the 16 million World War II veterans still alive today. Many estimates suggest that by 2036, there will be no more living World War II veterans. We must understand how great a debt is owed to our veterans, whether they served in Europe, Korea, Vietnam, or the Middle East. Without them, we may not be able to enjoy the freedoms we do today. They have paved a path for our country and its citizens, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Today is a special occasion, a day to honor the millions of Americans who have served over the hundreds of years since our country's founding. And while all of us here today are certainly sincere in our expression of thanks to our veterans, we must also remember that serving and defending our country is a 365-day-a-year responsibility. Heroism and sacrifice are demanded on the battlefield, but dedication, commitment, and integrity are required each and every day from our men and women in uniform. Although we might not always see or feel it, we are constantly protected by the people who have decided that the importance of service to one's country outweighs the personal sacrifices that come with that service. Now, as I transition away from the history of the holiday and my interpretation of it, I would like to conclude by sharing how the meaning of military service has evolved for me personally. I will begin in the summer of 2009. I remember slipping on a black polo shirt covered in small white skull and crossbones. I finished slicking back my hair, kind of like today, and tightened the Velcro on my sandals. My father had been on deployment for 6 months and was serving as the commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 103, based here in Virginia Beach. As I waited in the hangar at Naval Air Station Oceana, I could barely contain my excitement. The smell of jet fuel fumes filled the air, and I knew the Jolly Rogers were just minutes from landing. I could not wait to watch the sleek jets land and finally see my father exit the cockpit. At this point in my life, I did not truly understand the meaning of military service. To me, I just knew my father had the coolest job in the world. However, the summer of 2016 was slightly different. I had just started my freshman year here at Cape Henry, and I found myself back in a hangar on Oceana. This time, however, I was in a coat and tie, attending the retirement ceremony of my dad's best friend, who I called my uncle, as he left his position as commanding officer of Naval Air Station Oceana after 26 years of service. I had heard my dad speak at several events. As I listened to his speech on that day, his words had more meaning to me. I developed a more mature understanding of the meaning of military service and a better appreciation for the sacrifices made by our service members, such as spending extended periods of time away from family, going into harm's way when necessary, and potentially giving up higher-paying civilian careers to serve one's country. Despite these sacrifices, the ceremony reminded me that military members truly believe service to our country is worthwhile, and many feel privileged to have had the opportunity to serve. Fast forward to today. From squadron fly-ins to retirement ceremonies, growing up in a military family has been an influential and positive part of my life. The skull and crossbones shirt would be too small, of course, but I now have a deepened sense of patriotism and my own dream of hopefully serving one day. So I feel privileged to be here in front of so many amazing servicemen and women. Today, I thank our service members for their unwavering commitment to our freedom, their daily sacrifices, and of course, having some of the coolest jobs in the world. In the end, Veterans Day is a day for all Americans. It is a day to honor and show our gratitude Gratitude to all veterans, all who have sacrificed something, and some who have sacrificed everything. It is a day for us all to remember the importance of their service and why we, as the next generation, must be prepared and willing to pay forward what was done for us. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak here, and thank you for your time.
Connor just mentioned sort of the next generation. So I'd also like to announce that Connor Garrison has just been accepted to the United States Naval Academy. So, Doug Spate resides in Virginia Beach with his wife Gloria and daughter Hallie, who's in the class of 2020 here at Cape Henry. He's a native of Virginia Beach. He served active duty United States Air Force for 8 years, from 1982 to 1990, as the NCOIC of the Military Claims and Military Justice Unit, Judge Advocate General Office, Laughlin Air Force Base, I just don't think this microphone likes me, Texas and Lowry Air Force Base, Colorado. He was afforded the U.S. Air Force Achievement Medal, Air Force Good Conduct Medal, Air Force Longevity Award, and Small Weapons Marksmanship Medal. He was a team leader of the United States Air Force Honor Guard and Color Guard at Lowry Air Force Base, Denver, Colorado, and Laughlin Air Force Base, Del Rio, Texas. Mr. Spade graduated with honors from Air University, Maxwell Air Force Base in Birmingham, Alabama, in 1987 with a degree in military law, military claims, and tort litigation, and then appointed law librarian at Laughlin Air Force Base in 1987. In his free time, he played soccer for the Lowry Air Force Base team and Laughlin Air Force Base team, and eventually was selected to the All Air Force soccer team from 1983 to 1986. Welcome, Doug.
Good morning, everyone. I will have to go to the readers. Forgive me. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. Now, let's have another round of applause for Connor Garrison and also for this great breakfast and fellowship tonight. Impressive young man. Also, let's thank the Cape Henry staff for this and the awesome Aladdin Cafe staff as we reflect and remember Veterans Day. Thank you again, Dr. Guerin, and to everyone in attendance this morning. What an amazing turnout today. This is a beautiful a day for all of us. A little cold, I realize, but a bunny, Hallie Spate, and the spouse to Miss Gloria Spate, who works in the Cape Henry Upper School Administration Office. Many of you already know them or have seen them around campus, probably on a daily basis. And I see some familiar faces in the room today, and I'm very glad to see everyone could make it. I feel very grateful, humbled, and honored to be your speaker today. I am your final speaker as well, so I'll try to keep my comments short. When Miss Diane Cruz first approached me about speaking this morning, I was somewhat reluctant to give today's speech as I approach my 30th year as an Air Force veteran. I felt I'd been away from the military just too long to have any sense of relevance to today's military. The old guard, as they say, regaling about stories of yesteryear. But I'm actually glad that I did accept. Looking back at my high school years when I felt that yearning to serve, 1981, a sense of need to serve this great country. There's an inner voice that is only heard, a few only hear when it comes to serving in the armed forces. A call of duty of patriotism that is not answered by all. After I graduated from Princess Anne High School here in Virginia Beach, a class of 8, maybe continuing my little full-time job at a movie theater, but I chose not to. I wanted to join the military. My dad served in World War II as an Army medic. He used to tell amazing stories and wanted a similar experience myself. My mom was upset that I wasn't going to go play soccer at a local college and where I could come home and to the comfort of home and family and friends whenever I wanted to. No, I wanted to serve, but only under one condition, that I was accepted into the Air Force. No disrespect intended to my fellow armed services. I grew up here and I saw all the service members in their various uniforms, but none compared to me, the Air Force Blues. It struck my heart. So I went to the local Air Force recruiter office, took the ASVAB exam, sort of the ACT or SAT to today's kids, and I nailed that thing. Came back with a score that allowed me to go to any Air Force school and study any Air Force skill or training that I wanted to do. So I chose a career in JAG, a legal career, and I was sent to the JAG school in Birmingham, Alabama at the Air University. I came in as enlisted and then finished my career as a warrant officer. The JAG stands for Judge Advocate General Corps, if you were wondering, and a lot of you obviously are aware of it. After graduation, I attended another year of claims and tort litigation school, also in Birmingham, Alabama, and then later was assigned to Lowry Air Force Base and then to Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio, Texas. And then to our dorms where we cleaned and polished our rooms top to bottom, prepared our uniforms, and shined our boots for the next day. For those of you not familiar with the role of the JAG Corps, it's the legal division within the Air Force infrastructure primarily responsible for upholding and administering judicial and non-judicial punishments under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, oftentimes through court-martials and admonishments. Depending on which, the convicted member would be sent to prison based on the geographic region. The JAG office also adjudicates lesser military crimes, otherwise known as non-judicial punishments. These lesser offenses were called Article 15 violations under the UCMJ, which allowed the service member to actually remain in the military. Wills and trusts, notarial acts, contract disputes, collection actions, powers of attorney, and handling damages for household goods and personal items during a move from one duty station to another. While I served in the JAG Corps, we traveled quite often for military trials and court-martials, depending on where the crime or offense occurred. JAG offices are not as glamorous or as exciting, but I did get to fly in some incredible aircraft and was chauffeured around in the base commander's limousine wherever we went. A pretty nice gig. After voluntarily separated from the service in 1990, my Air Force education and experience landed several civilian jobs working in the legal department or at local law firms for a Fortune 500 company and two very large insurance companies. I often say jokingly that the Air Force is the country club of the armed forces. Every Air Force installation I've ever visited had the same plush, almost luxurious appearance in facilities. Beautifully groomed lawns and shrubs and streets swept clean. 5-star dormitories and housing and commissary in the exchange, and activities of more than any other base I had ever seen. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Colorado, take some time to go to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. I know I'm biased when I say that it looks like a scene from a postcard. A glorious campus situated at the base of the snow-capped Rockies is a beautiful backdrop. The world-renowned Academy Chapel, adorned with 17 aluminum spires shaped like F-16 fighter aircraft, stood 100 feet high at the front of the chapel. It's an impressive sight in and of itself. If the thin mountain air doesn't make you lightheaded, the vistas of this iconic service academy certainly will. The Air Force is credited with building two of the fastest aircraft ever flown in our planet's atmosphere. The North American X-15, built in 1959, had a recorded speed of 4,500 miles per hour. And also the Lockheed SR-71, the Blackbird, built in 1964, recorded the top speed of 2,500 miles per hour. So serving in the Air Force was an enriching, rewarding experience for me. I was most fortunate and blessed to be selected, as Dr. Garrison had mentioned, the All-Air Force soccer team where I played for 4 seasons, against our sister services, the United States Navy and the U.S. Army. Before game day, we boarded a MAC flight on C-130 and flew to military bases all over the United States from one coast to the other. I could not believe at times that I was actually playing a game I loved so much while serving in the military. I also served in the Honor Guard, where we performed military funerals, folding the coffin-draped American flag and presenting it to the surviving family. Our final act was to assemble the firing party for the 21-gun salute at the end of each funeral. I also served on the Color Guard, where we stood front and center carrying the American flag in military parades and ceremonies. For me, my time spent in the Air Force was a life-altering experience that transcended my wildest expectations. We are all so very different. I, for one, needed the structure and regimen of the military. When my final day arrived and I received my honorable discharge in 1990, I was better prepared for life's next challenge and felt more confident to re-enter civilian life. My wife can attest still to this day that I cut my lawn to an inspection order, still wear a white t-shirt under my shirt every day, Air Force Regulation 3510, and fold and iron my clothes like my drill sergeant is standing over my shoulder. The Air Force way of life left an indelible impression on me, even to this very day. I'm proud to be called a fly boy, as the Marines seasonally called us, and that's okay. I grew stronger as a person, earned an education and training skills, experienced life to the fullest, traveled, and I even earned my private pilot's license. So as we celebrate another Veterans Day today, please take a moment to reflect upon and remember the brave men and women and their supportive families who have served in our U.S. Armed Forces here and abroad, past and present, who answered the call of duty and at times made the ultimate sacrifice to protect and serve the guiding principles and freedoms of this great nation. Thank you, everyone, and God bless America.
Thank you so much. She's hiding back there. Doug mentioned the supportive families back home. So as the head of a school where we have a large number of students who are connected with the military, either with active, retired, or reserve in their family, whether it be a parent, whether it be an uncle, whether it be a grandparent, I want to make sure that we take some time also on this Veterans Day to remember there are incredible benefits and opportunities that come with being part of a military family. But there are also challenges that come with being part of a military family. So we also today recognize all the young people, the children, who are part of these military families. Again, it's a blessing for them, but there are also challenges. And so we recognize them. So for the Cape Henry students and all the young people who are part of military families around this country. Thank you all for your service and have a wonderful Veterans Day weekend. Thank you.